Hello, hello. It has been a little while. Um, the long and short of it is that I haven't really been playing RS to PK as hard until recently, and I knew I needed to make the Holland Cup recap, which I never did, and then I needed to make the Delta Rainbow recap, which I never did. And now it's within plausible range of me making the DCE recap, so I can do that and then talk about the rest of this shit, and then talk about. I guess I can talk about these two, um, but the world is changing. We live in. We must prepare for an angrier world, as they say. Um, I don't really want to go through my tournament results in terms of like recapping my games. I was thinking back to my other videos on this subject, and it feels like 40% of the video is me recollecting games, which I feel like is not an especially interesting or useful thing to people. I mean, I'd like to do more videos of me playing games, and then that one can be useful. But if I'm just like, yeah, and then I top deck the admin, it's like, okay, well, that doesn't. Who cares, but if you don't know, I bubbled at Holland Cup. I did really bad at Delta Rainbow, and I got third at DCE. So those are my results. But a lot has changed since Yokohama even, and I'm gonna go through these results, but I'm going to talk primarily about um, the players who saw success and what sort of was going on, what changed. So the Holland Cup was at EUIC. It was in London. I participated in it, and we had a nice serving of players here, people from several countries. I don't know what flag that is, but shout outs to them for what fucking flag is this? Okay, Autumn. If you're watching this, can you make the flags on this system tell me what the country is if I hover over them? This would be especially useful for the American users of your website. Um, Also, this is my first video using Holland Research Tower. This is a fantastic site for congregating RSPK results, and you can check like the decks out and see what decks are good and see all of the lists that people are playing. It's very nice, and there's more features coming, and the features that are like the stuff that is sometimes inconsistent about the website. Like I think it doesn't handle double elim brackets well in terms of its reporting. Those issues are like being worked on, and I have faith that they will continue to be worked on. 42, yeah. Anyways, this like okay, yeah, like Tord Reklev like did not go 5-1. He went 4-2. Not that it particularly matters, but anyways, I'm getting sidetracked already. Holland Cup. Um, the kind of funny thing about this one is that myself, Rogar, and Christmas and Bio, we all brought the exact same 60 cards, my Gardevoir list. I believe from Yokohama, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. It was my Yokohama list. I got second. And Rogar was not sure what to play, and he settled on that. I knew I was playing that. I'm not good at any of this other shit, so I played Gardevoir and went 4-2. And then Michael Mbayo was able to take the whole thing. I think he dropped a game in Swiss to Bombtar and then kind of dominated after that. Not a whole lot to say about that. I mean, the list has been around for months now. I guess the Sceptile is still new, but I think it's kind of proved itself that it's just the list that you want to play, or at least it was the list you wanted to play in February. Um, Beyond that, I feel like a lot of the players here were more King Draganium. Okay. Um, yeah. A lot of the players here were more enthusiasts of the I don't know the best way to put this, but a lot of people were here playing because they wanted something to do on Sunday at EUIC, and I'm not saying that to disparage anyone, because there were people here who were like, true gamers. You had like I know João Lopez is a born and bred RSPK player. Obviously, both Autumns. Most of the people who did well at this event are like people who have grinded the format to a non-insignificant degree. Um, but I didn't really see a whole lot of crazy things happening at this event. I believe Flygon did pretty well. We had a couple players bubble on it, and then Ashley Richards going 4-2 with it. Or sorry, Ashley Richards getting sixth place. Uh, I'm not 100% sure about the results on. It works fine for Swiss, but for double elam, I know it can get kind of funky. But, anyways, I do know that Flygon EX top cut, and there were other Flygon EXs that did well. And I think no, there was one other person on guard. I think this individual was on a pretty old Gardevoir deck list. Yeah, this looks like it's maybe Jason's. Um, I think I talked to this person and they like said that they just kind of heard about the event and proxied a deck. Um, but yeah, I mean nothing super crazy about this event in my opinion. It was really nice to see a bunch of people who weren't really like the insane gamers who were grinding out control mirrors all the time. It was nice to see like quote unquote normal people play in RSPK, and it seemed like it was pretty fun for a lot of them. I didn't really get the chance to like because we had to move the finals like outside of the venue because TPC was getting mad at us or something, and so I didn't really get the chance to like talk to the. And I was cheering for or watching Michael play for a lot of it in Top Cut, so I wasn't really able to like congregate with the crowd and see what their opinion on the format was. But it was really cool, and I hope that people enjoyed it. Um, and hopefully we'll see some more of them in online events or even in more in-person events. Um, Also, for the record, there is the Brew City Showdown this July in Chicago. I will be at that. There's also Double Rainbow 2025 in Tokyo. I will not be at that, but I highly recommend going if you are able to. I think registration is full, but maybe they'll make an exception. I don't know. Maybe they'll open the floodgates a little more. Anyways, not a whole lot to talk about at Holland Cup. Oh, one list I did want to highlight here is Autumn's. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, she went. I thought she went 4-2. Okay, maybe not. But I did want to mention this list. Um, Autumn has been messing around with this Camler list. You can call it Camler. You can call it Camler Rat. Evil Camler is kind of what Rogar has dubbed it, and I think is probably the best name for it. Um, you're basically playing Camler. You're cutting a 1-1 Camerupt line for a 1-1 Eradicate line. You also squeeze a Retriever in there. And it's good at playing the other Camler techs like Rocket Swab and Unknown, since if you're honing more in on the locking, since you're running Rat versus the energy control, then those cards are quite good. Also on Brinies, this is for you could it's really good to loop with Raticate. You can just kind of control your bench space really well. Um, I know that Kanten was on a Evil Gambler list at Yokohama that played very differently to this. So it's cool seeing these two approaches to Camerupt plus Raticate. And it is kind of tricky. Like playing Stantler decks that have Raticate is kind of weird because the idea is with including Rat is that you play less energy, but then if you play less energy, you're not turn two push away as often, and that is kind of a huge hedge against a lot of top decks that we will be talking about soon. Um, Double hideout is cool. See, this is what's gonna happen. I'm gonna start talking about a list, and then I'm gonna spend like 4 minutes looking at the list, and I need to control myself. Someone else on Railer. Also, Tord played Railer. I think this list was like not quite as schizo as his other lists have been. High stadium count out of nowhere. I feel like no Giant Stump, no Brinies. The one versus Seeker. Was this off the dome? I've never seen him play this list before. Like nothing. This doesn't even really seem like his list. Three Ray, a high stadium count, no Brinies. He's got the four Super Scoops. Anyways, he missed round one because he was hungover or something, uh, and then went kind of crazy. But 4-2 in bubble is a 4-2 in bubble. I'm right there with you, brother. But too bad I didn't get to play him in person. But the world wasn't ready for that one. Maybe in Chicago. We'll see. Anyways, the next two events are the ones I really wanna get to. Um, as I mentioned, I did pretty poorly. I'm not gonna go through everything, but I lost a Chiro on. Can I not click? That's annoying. It would be really nice if I could click on this Autumn for the record, but okay. Uh, I lost a Chiro on Drag Trode with Sceptile. I lost a Q on like a Chiro box type of deck. I beat JP on Dragonite, and then I lost to Zhao Lopez on Growler. And then I was like, all right, well, I can't make cut, and I don't particularly want to play any more games, so I dropped. Um, but the where is I going with this? The good results. What was Q's Legend Box list actually? This is pretty crazy. Yeah, the double Jirachi was kind of my bane. Another Hitmontop deck, also. Not too sure about it here. I don't know if you have the means to facilitate chip damage to make it worth it. The Wobbuffet is also insane. Like, I don't entirely know what that is doing here. This is a pretty wild Cheerio box deck. I have not actually seen the full 60 for this yet. And it beat my Gardevoir, so there's something there. The one transceiver. Wow, you don't need any more. Um, and he didn't top this event, but I did want to mention Zelox. Um, Zelox is a fairly new player to the format, and he is he is a gamer. He is grinding this shit out, and he has basically been trying to learn and perfect Bomb Tar for what appears to be every minute that he's spent in the last like 3 months. Um, and he's come up with this list, or maybe a few. It's a few cards off now, but the ideas are pretty similar between his lists, which is you play two Jirachi HL, you don't play Jirachi DX. You play Voltorb, Holland's Voltorb as a mentor target. You play Quad Mentor because if you're able to mentor, get energies in the discard, thin the deck, then That's really good for Bomb Tar. You play 4 Stevens so that you like it helps you when you get hit with like Bomb plus Admin first. It kind of helps you get out of that situation a lot, and it's really good against Gardevoir. Um, and you play 4 Warp Point. This is to help with control, and Warp Point is just a really annoying card, and it gets out of Cess locks in control, and of course gets out of Screechy Voice Confusion. You don't play Warp or well, you play Warp Energy, but you don't play Heal Energy. You play 4 Cess because not a whole lot can actually beat Tyranitar with a Cess, and yeah, those are the major things that it does. And you don't play Rocket's Pokeball because you're in on Jirachi HL. And no Brinies because I don't really know actually. I guess the idea is that you are trying to disrupt and not trying to tank is the idea. Um, and no Retriever because you can fly pretty close to the sun on this deck and usually win if you're better than your opponent. So that's the idea. Um, yeah, so Zelox did not top with this list, but he did the next event. And Frosty played, I think, was it this list? Might be a couple of cards off. No, I'm pretty sure it was this exact list. Frosty was able to get second. Um, we also saw Raspberry Bell wake up on time for an event, which is pretty swag. And as soon as I saw he was registered, I was like, yeah, he's gonna go crazy at this tournament. Very slept on player. I think like obviously like the Japanese players are aware of him, but I feel like Westerners kind of don't know how good this guy is. But I played him in Japan, and we played guard mirrors, and he beat the shit out of me, which basically nobody else has done. Granted, his list is very anti-guard itself. The 2 Psychic Boom Curlia are really nice in the mirror. Um, like Jolteon Star is really nice because it gets damage thresholds with black magic that are important. Um, Celebi EX and Pidgeot Beating Wings are both really nice. The high Stevens count is really good in the mirror because guard usually has a pretty big bench. And Warp Point is surprisingly disruptive. We saw another quad Warp Point. And this list has been around. I mean, he's I think used, if not this list, a very similar one for quite a while. Also, 314 Pidgeot is interesting. 3 Pidgey is. That makes sense. I guess you want to get the other Pidgeot up as well, so I get it. But no, a very interesting list. I want to mess around with it more. And we'll kind of come back to some of the ideas on it. Um, Autumn was also able to top cut this one, Autumn Lamb, with the evil Camler. This time playing a different stadium lineup, and I don't remember if she played ATM Rock in the last list, and no Cyclone Energy, which is unfortunate. But yeah, it seemed like this is working pretty well for her. The 2 ER2 I think is fine. You should usually have enough disruption with Kindle and Pickup, so um, I think that's probably fine in this list. I don't want to just scrutinize lists for 45 minutes. Hopefully, I can avoid doing this. What was Canton? I actually didn't even realize he played um, Evil Camler this one. Yeah, so completely different route. No ER2s, different stadium lineup, a much less thick stadium lineup. Looks like fewer energy as well. And only the 3 Stantler. There's still the high camera up count. I find that a little unusual. I think if you're gonna be making cuts for things, then you making a cut for the Camlers, or the Camerupt rather, is where I would like to go. House Blaze is Chimecho, which you may have never read this card in your entire life, but it copies supporter cards. It's kind of like there's an unknown that does this, and it also has a psychic boom. Truthfully, I don't really understand what like the use case is for this card. Like it will rarely be dead weight, but I don't entirely understand what I don't really see the vision here. Um, but who am I to question? I also think Mr. Stone's project is like, okay, dude, like you're playing backburner and pick up. That should be enough. I mostly just really hate this card. I think that this is like by far the worst card they play in Railer, and I don't play it on my list, and I think it's a bad card. But clearly, Mister the Goat, disagrees with me. So what are you gonna do? Mysterious player on Flygon. I think I didn't like this list either. Yeah, I actually really don't care for this list. Three mentor is cool. We are seeing a higher mentor count, not just in Bomb Tower, but in some other things that I will get to in a little bit. But yeah, Flygon EX kind of having a bit of a resurgence. It does struggle into Bomb Tower, but it has things it can do. Um, and in addition to that, it can do well into guard. Historically, it's had an okay rat matchup, but rat hasn't really been around, and it beats Destiny really hard, but Destiny hasn't really been around. And you can play things for Dragtrode, so I think it's kind of seeing a bit more play than it, or a bit more success anyways than it has been historically. Primarily Flygon box lists, not as much of the like unknown turbo Flygon lists, but you know, we'll see. First Ryegs, I actually think it topped Holland Cup, but I did see us topping with Ryegs is pretty neat. Um, Star I think is really good in this deck. I don't entirely understand why people haven't been running this card. Um, like you already facilitate it perfectly fine just normally, and if you cut a couple of your like awful energy cards to run Delta Rainbow, which I feel like you might should already be doing, then it facilitates it even more. Super high stadium count. Desert Ruin's really nice for Railer, and also pretty nice for Gardevoir to shut down the passive healing of Regirock, which is kind of the bane of this deck's existence a lot of the time. But with Desert Ruins and Cess, you can one shot the Regirock with Metallic Thunder. Um, yeah, cool list. Three admin, another three admin. I think this is probably one of my. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't say everyone who runs three admin is following in my footsteps, but I think time has kind of shown that that was kind of a correct call. James G on Gardevoir. James G, not somebody we typically associate with RSPK, but it's cool to see him playing it. This is a very unusual list. Um, playing. Okay, sure. This one's also an okay, sure. Although this does one shot Psychic Guard with Super Psy. So there is that. And Removal Beam is like an attack you could theoretically use if you really wanted to. Holland's Magneton is also interesting. 2-1-2 Pidgeot. Does he know? Two Elms, two Stevens, two Admin, and two Mentor. I don't know if this is like a 2010 player philosophy, but it's very funny. Three Windstorm, kind of insane, my humble opinion. Lugia EX is pretty swag though. You play Rainbow Energies, so you can kind of facilitate using this card. Um, and it is nice to just have something that can just kill shit. I think Latios is a bit too cute. I think this list is pretty helpless into Cess and control in general, because you're not on any of the anti-control cards, except you do play 4 warp energy, but if just don't hit them. 2 Jirachi is pretty cool. I do like the Jirachi HL in this because you play quite a few energy to support it. So I don't know if we'll see people playing this list. It's kind of hard to say like uh, what people really get influenced by. Will somebody play the James G list? Will somebody play the Raspberry Bell list? Will someone play the historic my historic list, or will they just build something new? Interesting to see how the metagame develops. Umanosuke on Dragtrode. Okay, yeah. So this is a good time to mention this. So last year at Double Rainbow, I'm pretty sure we saw like two, if not three, Sableye decks in Top Cut. I definitely lost to one, and I'm pretty sure there was at least another. And I played like two more in Swiss. These are Sableye Bombtar, but their Sableye Dragtrode has also been around, and it like did really well at Double Rainbow. I didn't win, but it did really well. And then nobody really played it after that in like big tournaments, and it was just like, oh, okay, there's this thing that did really well, and then we didn't play it anymore. Like, what's going on there? Um, excuse me. And truthfully, yeah, I don't really know. And Imanosuke did was this fourth place at Delta Rainbow? Yeah, fourth at Delta Rainbow with this. The rest of the list is kind of by the numbers. I think 4 Rockets Pokeball is usually considered a high count. 2 Admin is considered low. 2 Scott is interesting. I guess I get the idea. Like, if you're playing it slower and trying just to night vision and slow them down, or sorry, limitation and slow them down, then if you're just able to get a Scott, then you can kind of get off to the races, like, even if it takes a couple turns. So I see the vision for sure. Um, Rest of it, I don't think is considered too unusual. The one Brownie's no versus Seeker is maybe a little weird, but I mean you have to make space to include the 4 of the demon. But I was talking to Zelux since a lot of the metagame shifts have been his contributions, honestly. And he said that he thinks that there's going to be a dynamic moving forward that basically his idea of the format is that the best decks are bomb decks or Sceptile decks, or you can play both. Spoiler. Um, and then after that, he thinks that Sableye decks can stand a chance because they can disrupt both of those and stop Sableye or stop Sceptile from going up or stop the bomb from going off, or at least delaying it. And we might be seeing more of these, since we did see some Sableye in the top cut of the other event as well. And then beyond that, I believe Frosty, yeah, was on Zelox's list. And then the winner was Tfue. I know Tfue has been grinding this Sceptile list for a while, and it's pretty funny that like the end result he wound up on is within like I don't know exactly how many cards, but within a few cards of Canton's old list, which I think is pretty swag. Um, what to talk about here? The one Grass Trico, this is because he's on Lynette. And you also kind of want to be cognizant of ATM Rock, so having a 50 HP guy for that purpose can be nice. Um, I think that's why he's not on like the Poison Breath one. And also, you're not going to really run enough energy to consistently attack with that. So, The 2-1-2 Sceptile count or Sceptile split seems pretty standard. Three cast form, pretty standard. You don't hate starting with it in this deck, but you would kind of prefer not to. The Pidgey split, I'm pretty sure this is for Lynette purposes, um, and also for ATM Rock purposes. He's pretty big on double Jirachi. The big thing in this is definitely Mew as the star of choice. Historically, it's been Latios to kind of hit Tyranitar and Gardevoir and stuff in the mirror. Um, but Mew is just kind of useful in a lot of matchups. It helps you a lot against Rat, which is a matchup that you should be winning, but sometimes weird things happen. And then Roselia. This card is mainly used. I think he was messing around with Murkrow for a while, but I believe he's settled on Roselia these days. Primarily used to uh, be something to be useful in control against control. Flick Poison is really nice for that. And yeah, the list. I mean, he was able to beat Bombtar pretty handily. Once you get Sceptile up, you really can just play like this waiting game, and you can even use Green Sceptile to heal things. You can use Mew to Spinning Tail and soften things up. You can use Ray to special circuit and soften things up. And then you can just kind of wait, and then they'll eventually spin their wheels. And this actually doesn't play Regirock, which I did not realize until now. It plays Ray over Regirock. Um, which, I mean, he clearly did pretty well against Bombtar, so maybe you don't need it for this deck if you're already on such a thick Sceptile line. He's also on the 2 Mentor, 1 Lynette, so basically 3 Mentor, 3 Admin. Double Warp Point and the Warp Energy is is usually going to be enough for this deck. You you get Sceptile dragged up a lot, but Sceptile is not the worst thing to swing with. And you do play high warp counts, and if you have to retreat with it, you do have Camerupt to always get energy back, so it's not the worst thing. Swoop over Giant Stump is probably fine. You don't really like to play Giant Stump down in this matchup. Like, if anything, I could see if you wanted another stadium or like a counter stadium to just play something that isn't that card. I don't really know what you would play in this deck though. If you wanted another one, like you don't want Beach or Curse Stone or Desert Ruins or Battle Frontier. But Stump is not great. Island Cave doesn't really do anything for you. Ancient Tomb doesn't do anything for you. Magnetic Storm might be something. I don't know. But in any case, 4 Windstorm is maybe enough. I know TFU has said like the big problem with this deck is that it sucks against Stantler decks. So maybe maybe another card for that. I don't know. TFU knows better than I would. He's played this deck a ton. And a really cool list. Just some minor changes from the historical lists that we've seen, but they seem to pay off really well, and he was able to take the event pretty dominant fashion, I believe. And then we have the DCE Deluxe. Um, I guess okay, yeah. Let me talk about if there was anything else in like the annals of this here event. Little River breaking even with Wimpy Chicken, always based. Fossil Box. Um, I know my boy has been working on this list a lot, and I think this is the list I've been using of his. Maybe it's a couple of cards off. I think the Heal Energy might be new. It's really cool. This guy is insane in this deck. Um, the it punishes a lot of the 204 Pidgeot we see running around because you can just pull down, and most decks cannot one shot this card, and so you just or like they can't do it easily, and so you just pull down a lot. Um, and I think this deck is cool, but we will have to see if it gets up to like the relevancy tier. Marowak Crobat. I didn't realize someone brought this. This is the funniest deck that is like. There's no way that this is the card that they were playing this, right? Like, surely that was not the card they were on in this. Hold on. What would I even search for this? Delta Rainbow? Jamie, pull up the Delta Rainbow registrations. Jamie, pull up the Delta Rainbow standings. Okay, where is this? Who was this? Okay. Were they on this Latias? According to this, they were. I need an explanation. I don't have any. I have no earthly idea what this card is hitting and why you wouldn't play Fire Mew. You play Delta. You play 4 Delta Rainbow. What? Okay, I don't know. This is perplexed me. Is this supposed to be Pokepark Latias? I guess it could be. I don't really think that card is super relevant these days, but who knows? Um, wow. Wait 1 second. Anyways, yeah, this is okay, man. It is funny that this Marowak Crobat deck is like maybe not like viable tier, but somewhere in there, perhaps. Um, Dragtile. I don't know how I feel about this name, but I did lose to Chiro on this deck. I actually played him in this matchup in a Double Rainbow, I think, same matchup, but this time his setup was better, and he was on Psychic Ditto. That's actually something I want to talk about. Um, Historically, we've kind of seen. Okay, so you're gonna play Mewstar as your copy guy, or if you're playing a deck that really needs to hit Sceptile, you play Fire Mew. But I think we are seeing a lot of people that are on Ditto these days. I mean, people have always been on Ditto or Mime Junior, but I think specifically if you're running Holland Mons, like this guy, running Ditto is really nice because you can copy Flame Ball and KO one shot Guardiax, and then keep your energy in play. And that seems really relevant. Like that comes up quite a bit when I play Gardevoir into decks that are on that card, and we could see that even being played over Fire Mew. If you're really not that concerned about Sceptile, like I think this is a deck that you could feasibly play. Well, yeah, it's a deck that Chiro played it in, so I think yeah, if you're really not that worried about Sceptile, which this deck doesn't really appear to be, then you could consider playing Psychic Mew instead, or sorry, Psychic Ditto rather. Beyond that, yeah. So the big takeaways are we're seeing more Psychic Ditto. We're seeing more like a higher mentor count in a lot of these decks. Um, Standard decks that aren't named Evil Camler are not really seeing a whole lot of play or success. Um, and we're still seeing a lot of the classics, a lot of Gardevoir, but a lot of different approaches to Gardevoir. Whereas for the last few months, we've kind of just seen people on my list for a lot of the time. Um, and uh, the bomb tar lists have been borderline unrecognizable. Uh, Zelox's kind of new approach to that deck has very quickly had results. And we're going to talk about some more of those at the DCE Deluxe. So Zelox, I think, was on a slightly different list at this time. Um, no, I think this is the same list. I'm pretty sure. And he did top this event. He got top six. Um, and Frosty was able to take it with, I believe, a slightly modified version. Yeah, he was on the Swoop, the Curse Stone, and the ATM Rock. I think he cut a Stevens. Looks like he cut a Darkness. Ooh, two Curse Stone actually. No Windstorms at all, which is very bold. Um, but I mean, it makes sense. You're just really gunning hard for uh, being able to overpower the Cess decks and also Warp Point. And if nobody knows you're not on Windstorm, they're not gonna, they can't play around that aspect as well. Um, but what else about this event? Did this person top? Um, it's not what I remember. No, I think somebody top cut and then dropped out or something. There was something weird that happened at this event with like the top cut thing, but I can't remember what it was. Um, I don't remember unfortunately. Sorry about that. So what was I even talking about? I had to pause for a little while. Um, were we talking about the DCE Deluxe? I think we might have been talking about the DCE Deluxe. Oh, the changes in the metagame and how we are seeing it. What the AFL? Oh yeah, sure. I'm glad we already have a name for this deck. So, with this tournament, yeah, there was something weird with the top cut, and then we did see Ikyomi on Wet Rat. So this deck, this individual has been running this shit for months now. It's so cool. It's so neat. I do think, word of advice, I do think you can cut 1-1 rat and play another retriever. You don't ever really want to pick up the retriever, but the point is that you can. This deck, the idea behind it is that you're using Unknown E and Crawdaunt EX to loop things. And a lot of decks actually could struggle with this, getting out of this loop. You're also playing Battle Frontier and Hideout. Hideout helps with locking, of course. Battle Frontier is just nice against a lot of decks in this format. Um, Also, Nose Pass. I don't entirely know. I guess you can use Repulsion and do funny things, but yeah, it's all about returning things to the hand. Murkrow is just generally good. It also plays this Unknown, which is like the funniest card to ever appear in a Top Cut. And it's just a breakdown attack. If you are splashing things back to hand and your opponent is not able to do much, Unknown will do like 10 million damage. Like, when your opponent gets to like 12 cards in hand, it's one shotting most things, and then when they get to 15, then it one shots basically everything. Um, so it's a very silly deck, but it put up results. I mean, I think Ikyomi has always like gotten some kind of wins with the deck, but this is the first time that it seems like it really was able to perform at the level that he wanted it to. And I hope we see more of it. I hope we see more Wet Rat. I do think I don't entirely understand the point of Nose Pass. I think if it was explained to me, I might get it more. Um, I also think Vaporeon is neat. Do I have any other real comments on this? I don't know if you need. Well, these days you kind of need to Windstorm. Um, yeah, I mean this looks like pretty reasonable for what you're what you're trying to do. You do kind of hate seeing Sceptile, although I guess you can POW and Invisible Hand it back, so there is that. And you can use this guy and KO it maybe. Hard to say though. You might want Giant. No, you don't want Giant Stem because then that helps your opponent get out of Splashback. Yeah, I don't know. This is a good list for what you're trying to do. Deluxe, of course, on his same list. Kanten on a pretty wild Sceptile. I lost to this. Plays the same, well, minus the Grass Trico. Plays the same Sceptile lineup. The three Cast Form, 204 Pidgeot, the two Jirachi. He's on 101 Blastoise, and he's on Latios Star. There might be. That's about the only differences. I guess he's on Stump instead of the third Mentor, but really like quite close to Tfue. No Regirock in this one, although the Blastoise kind of acts as your fighting guy of choice. Um, and yeah, it's a very strong list. It's kind of fun. Kanten really like Sceptile's been around before he's played it, but it was never really taken super seriously or optimized to the degree that he had. And then Tfue won a tournament with it, and then Kanten ran it back. So I think the fact that we've seen back-to-back Sceptile tops means that this deck is probably pretty good. It's I've always had it in like an A tier, and I never really like it. Just never really saw the results of an A tier deck or the play, honestly. But I think now that it's done well and we've got a couple of lists to work with, I think that it very well could be more on the radar. Blastoise is nice for the Gardevoir matchup. It definitely came up there. I don't entirely know if it's better than the other techs you could be running. Like I feel like this would struggle quite a bit into Stantler and Sestex. But excuse me. What can you do? Play it easy on yeah, this is kind of what I was saying earlier. We have a Sableye Dragtrode list. And I don't really know where this is going to go. I think this is the same list, actually. I think that this is the same list, yeah. If it's not, it's like one or two cards off. Yeah, same list as the Japanese Monosuke, I think. And yeah, I mean, this is interesting because like we're seeing back to back, like some consistency in terms of like back to back Sceptile, back to back Sableye Dragtrode, and back to back Bombtar doing well with this new Zelox list. And it's really interesting. We are seeing some very consistent results nowadays, as the other decks just kind of are struggling a bit to take off the way that they'd like to. Um, Anything down here that I want to mention before Metal Gravity? Yeah, they're just making shit up now. Green Blast, my favorite. Flygon EX did not unfortunately do well with this tournament. Freak Gone did not do what it needed to. Was somebody else play Gardevoir? Oh, okay, they played my list. Neat. Um, what else? We saw Kingdra EX get played. Uh, I think this deck, or I think this deck is still really good. I like this actually. This is neat. You play the one water for the Sceptile. I don't know. Playing this without any searchers does feel kind of sketchy. You lost to Kantan and Delzan, I think. I think Delzan got like an insane start. And then Kantan, yeah, hard to say. I don't really know if this deck would be. Wait, is there like. There's like another Kingdra, right? There's like the fire one. I think it does like some kind of. Hold on. We're looking this. We're gonna look at this up. I'm gonna look it up on my phone. Look it up on my phone because there's a fire Kingdra, right? Like, wouldn't that be good for Sceptile? I wonder. And I think it does more damage. So yeah, okay. The fire Kingdra has Dragon Curse. If it's active, you put 2 damage counters on a Delta guy, and then extra flame for fire colorless does 30 and then plus 30 to an EX. So it one shot Sceptile, which is pretty funny. Pretty funny. So you could do that if you really wanted to. Um, I don't really know that it would be worth it, uh, but you could do that. It's cool to see this deck do well though. 2 swoop also very unusual. I think James G just ran back his same deck list. Looks like it. You can't be playing this routes though, man. I promise you, Hypnosis is better than Collect. Um. Anyways, and then I topped. I got third with. It's kind of like. Zelux built me a Gardevoir list. Not built one for me, but he'd been testing Gardevoir, and I used his list. And then, because I wasn't sure what to play at this event, I didn't really feel right to just run back Gardevoir because like I kind of wanted to play something more fun. And then a lot of good people showed up, and I was like, well, I kind of should play something that isn't just like Shift Recon or something. And then Zelix passed me this list, and I was like, you know what? I do need to update the list, and trying this out seems like it could be worthwhile. So, um, yeah. The only main thing here is that the I should be on 2 psychic rolls. This probably came up against my Sableye matchups. And other than that, I think it's probably fine. You could then maybe cut a mentor, but I don't really know if it's worth it. Or mentor for Lynette. But the idea is kind of similar to the Bomb Tar list. You just play a super high mentor count, a super high warp point count, and that helps you a lot with your consistency and your disruption. The low energy count is kind of spooky because a lot of games you are not attaching energy consistently every turn, which is kind of rough. But the idea is that you want to set up like a crazy board versus setting up like an attacker with 3 energy and then winning off of that. So it's a different mold. I don't know which list I like more. I I mean, okay, I know I like my list more because I've played it more, but this is definitely worth exploring. I think something in between that plays a little bit more energy could work. I've also been experimenting with Stantler in this deck, and I need to experiment with ATM Rock. But yeah, just another demonstration though that these high mentor, high warp decks definitely have potential. Um, Little River also topped my goat. Another Sableye. Bombcatty Sableye has been around for a while, but most people that play Bombcatty just don't take it to events. It's just kind of I don't know. I don't really know why. Like this deck is very strong. I think it's like either like a top of B tier or like low A tier type of deck. Um, like I know Jason's working on a version that's pretty wild. I don't know if this is Little River's list. I actually don't know if someone passed him this one. I don't know who built this exact 60. Um, but yeah, the idea is, of course, you just use Sableye, and you've got four swoop, so you have pretty good odds to open something nice. I feel like if you're on four swoop, well, you're on Giraffe Rig, so you can't really play Jirachi, but Jirachi would be nice if so. Um, 3-3-1 Delcatty is interesting, as is the 2-2 Trode. I feel like you're just not running enough ways to hit Trode in this. Like you're on one Elms, but you're not on any like Master Ball or Pokénav or anything like that. Huh. And the energy lineup is I've said for a while that like the math on how many dark you should run if you're playing a Sableye deck. If you play four dark metal and four darkness, like that's really enough, I would say. If anything in this deck, you could probably cut the two dark metals for like two more rainbows, or cut one dark metal for a rainbow. I think having the the potential to attack with Electrode in this deck is pretty nice. And you're not really, you don't typically hit the thresholds where rainbow matters because Delcatty dies to anything, or it will live like one small hit. So rainbow doesn't really change those numbers. Um, I think he said he was mad about having to play Space Center. Two Windstorm in a Bomb Caddy deck is insane. Also, Space Center is annoying because it shuts off your Giraffe Rig, although that comes up pretty rarely. But yeah, this deck was nuts. Bomb Caddy, another deck that maybe we'll see more of this year, either with or without Sableye. I am excited for Jason to start playing his list. I don't really want to say a whole lot because I don't think he's posted it publicly, but um, it's pretty wild and be fun to see if that deck ends up breaking the meta. Um, the Apom, the Lapras, along with the high swoop count, are very sensible. Clears up your bench, very very normal. The Holland engine in this is interesting. I don't feel like I've ever seen this attempted before, but it does make sense. I mean, you're dumping energy, you're getting your basics into play because you do want a lot of basics in this deck. And of course, you can mentor, grab Lapras, Lapras grab mentor, the greatest combo. Um, but no, very cool list from Mr. River himself. And then Frosty on, I believe, a very similar list as Zelox's, but and his previous one, but this time rocking with the ATM Rock. I believe, yeah, this came up definitely in our games, and also I believe it won him his game against Canton. And I think that the ATM Rock technology is very dangerous. Yeah, it just helps a lot against these Sceptile decks and Gardevoir. Historically, Gardevoir was seen as a pretty easy matchup for Bombtar, but it became a lot harder. And now, but now I think with the high cess, the ATM Rock, Gardevoir kind of has to find some kind of answers to Bombtar, which is what I've been working on. So we are seeing the Bombtar, Sceptile, Sableye, Gardevoir. We're seeing these decks this year really just kind of everything's kind of congregating around this being the new direction. Um, Standler is really taking a back seat. We really are not seeing hardly any of him. The only exception being Autumn and Canton's performances with Camler, which is not what I was expecting. You know, Camler had a pretty horrible fate in 2024, but we've seen it modernize and play good cards like Raticate. So, um, yeah, it's really interesting. And I talked to Zelux a bit about where he saw the format going, because a lot of this is, his deck building has been paying off a lot, and he's pretty convinced that like the only things that are really worth it in this format are bombing or Sceptile, and also Sableye could help stave those things off. So, I mean, when you look at the list, bomb, Sceptile, Sableye, Sceptile, bomb, neither. Um, and then if you look at Delta Rainbow, you see Sceptile, bomb, Sceptile, Sableye. I don't think this is on Sceptile actually. But I mean, yeah, even in these results, the decks that are being described are the ones that are placing the highest. But it's hard to say. I mean, there's variance, and this has only been two tournaments that we've kind of seen in this mold, and then even at the Holland Cup. Okay, well, yeah. So there is always Meganium. This has. If you're playing this, just play. Oh, I don't know. You should play another mentor. And you do not need farmer plus retriever. Anyways, um, getting carried away. You should play Delta Chimecho on this, right? Like you cut the farmer, play a Chimecho, then you should be fine. Maybe cut a Windstorm. Actually, you don't need to cut a Windstorm. Meganium probably is fine. But yeah, Delta Meganium, a deck that sucks shit into Gardevoir, but you do be doing 80 damage to Tyranitar and making it do 0 damage, or just one-shotting Tyranitar. Um, and it's a deck that I kind of wonder if there's a way to build it where you can do well against Gardevoir. You might say, oh, just play like the Sceptile EX, but like at that point, you really aren't beating beating Gardevoir, because they will pal that shit up and then kill it, or they will you're swinging with what, like Rayquaza EX and Meganium Delta into Gardevoir. Like Gardevoir is just going to win that against the Meganiums. So then, what are you attacking with? You're attacking with like what, Rayquaza? You play Stamina. But with Rayquaza, Jirachi, I guess Latios. If you played like, you just have to play so many cards to like get through Gardevoir. You have to play like the Sceptile line, probably the Jirachi, probably also the Latios, and maybe that would be enough. Maybe. But you can't really play Latios if you're playing Sceptile, because if you're playing Sceptile, you're not playing Meganium EX. Or you could play both, but that seems like an actual like crackhead thing to do. You could play the if you do play Sceptile, you could play the Unseen Forces like regular Meganium, I guess. That could be cool. Anyways, but yeah, we could be moving forward and seeing a completely different version of the format, where it's very stage 2 oriented, or Sableye oriented. Sableye plus other good stuff, good dark attackers or good bombs, or both. Um, but I am. I had gotten so lazy with deck building and testing, because I just thought that like, oh, this list I have is basically always going to be good, and it probably will always be good. But it's to the point now where I need to get something that is um, better. I need to do better than this, and that's why I've been working on Rat lately and trying to get that one back up to its old glory. I've got some ideas, and I think that it's hard because there's Gardevoir running around, there's Sceptile running around, and then the Bomb Tower is much better prepared. So how do I deal with all of these things at once? Um, I've got a tech Cradily Legend Maker that I'm trying to use. You can't copy it with Mew. I'm just rambling now, but yeah, you can't copy it with Mew because it needs React Energy. You can devolve things in Stage 2 matchups, and you can uh, do like 100 damage to Sceptile, I guess, if you need to. But the main thing is that it devolves like Pidgeot, and if you can devolve Pidgeot, hit him with like an admin to 2 or something, and maybe you can get something going, but it's going to be hard. If you can devolve two things, like two rare candied things with Cradily, then you can really be off to something. But it's inconsistent in my testing. So if that doesn't work, I tried Omastar. That didn't really do what I wanted it to do. But I'll figure something out. I have come this far. I'll figure something out. There were also some small EX block series games. There were some. I don't want to like undersell these too much. Like there were people playing actual decks to try to win these, and Autumn looks like she won one. Haru Nakano. Who is this? Is this Running High? This is Paul Kitcheman. Oh, what a guy. Great guy. Okay. Okay. Uh huh. Wow. Sure. Okay, I guess if you have Unknown E, this card is funny because you can do it does like 40 damage tops, man. It does 50 damage tops, but like, come on, that's funny. Funny card. Oh, a lot of energy. Wow. Anyways, I think these are fun. These like low stakes. It'd be cool if we could have like 8-person events, like just cap it to 8 people and then play those so that like it's understood that they're not super high stakes. I think that would be fun to do because like if I get to a tournament and there's like 10 people, like I'll play something like Destiny or Shift Recon on. But if it's like 30 people, it's like, well, now I kind of want to try. So it'd be nice to not have to try all the time. Anyways, that is going to do it. I tried not to ramble for a billion years in this one. Um, Mostly just the format is in a very unusual place it's never been in before, and we will just have to see. We'll just have to see where it goes and who is going to push it forward. How many people were on this list? Wow. Okay. And I'll also have to see if people keep playing the Eric Reed's Gardevoir because it is kind of underperformed these last couple of events. Okay, I say that, but like it did win Holland Cup and it did get second at